Hey guys, really was not expecting to make this video, but I just finished the last two episodes of Stranger Things season 4, and I just feel like I have to, yeah, oh my god, it was so fucking good. It was so good, and you guys know I love to be that person that's like, the annoying devil's advocate when it's like, come on, bro, like nobody asked for devil's advocate, like. I try to be like contrarian, to my own opinions a lot. Even if I like something, I'll try and be contrarian to my own opinions. Like, were some of the plot points cliche? Were they very predictable and very expected? Yes. But do they still work? Yes. And they worked so freaking well. I don't know if you remember my last video, but I was a little negative, right, with the cliches. I was like, oh, it's cliche, it's cliche. Guys, I don't know how I'm going to structure this video. I don't even know if it's going to be structured at all. But I just want to talk about these last two episodes. Talk about context. Talk about giving context to everything I had questions about in my last video. If you remember correctly, in my last video, I was like, I don't understand the timeline of this. I'm kind of confused. I don't really get what's happening here. Did 11 kill the kids, or was it 1? It's not that clear. But there's some points in time, some moments where if you already knew what had happened, what went down, then you're like, haha, lol, Cinema Sins moment, you're like, wow, why did he just say the obvious out loud? But personally, I needed Papa to be like, 1 killed all these children. I needed that. But like, there was some parts where it was like, okay, I had my little Cinema Sins hat on, and I was like, why is he like stating the obvious? Now I get that that's necessary sometimes, especially when you're flipping from scene to scene so many times, right? On the record, nobody does character development and character relationships like Stranger Things. Ain't no show out here right now that's popping, that's blowing up, that's, that has more than 1 million eyes on it, doing relationships like Stranger Things, doing character development like Stranger Things, doing character arcs like Stranger Things. I'm gonna go character by character maybe, or I don't know. But these last 2 episodes, in my opinion, make up for the unenjoyable cliches of the first chunk of episodes from from this season. You know what I mean. Elle being bullied at every place she goes. I was like, is this being like on the nose on purpose of like movies from this time? Or does this actually think this is good? Right? And I still don't have an answer for that. I don't know if it was being LOL teen drama where the weird girl with the powers gets bullied everywhere she goes. She doesn't fit in, I didn't like that so much. If she's being bullied at school, sure, but being bullied at the facility, the brain power facility. Let's talk about some of the things I saw coming. I knew Papa was not going to let her go. I knew Papa was not going to let her go. I called it. And I knew he would double cross that other doctor or whatever the fuck. I knew it. I thought he would die. Again, I'm not really sure what happened to the other doctor guy. I thought he would die. I called his death. Didn't work, right? I called Maxine dying. And that's something I want to talk about at full a little bit. Maxine should have died. I mean, she should have. I don't know what they have in store for her character in the future, but I was very satisfied with her character arc and with her character conclusion. And it felt like she had a kind of get out of jail free card, right? During the running up that hill, right? She had the fucking get out of jail free card when, of course, she's the only one that escapes this godlike being, right? It was like, oh, okay, main character syndrome, right? I was like, okay, it's a good scene, so I'll let it pass. But at the same time, I was like, that's a fucking get out of jail free card. It's not cheap, but it's like, okay, so music. That was where we found out, like, well, that's not where we found out, but that's where we confirmed, hey, music is what helps people get out of this. I just thought it would come up more than with just Maxine, but no, it only came up with her, which I found a little odd, just a little bit. It didn't pull me out or anything. I was like, whoa, yeah, so like they're gonna be going around saving all kinds of people. It's music that helps, and maybe it will come back up. Who knows? Maybe to pull Maxine out of her coma that she's seen in the end, Maybe the music will come back up. I don't know. Maybe music will be more widespread. I thought her character conclusion was beautiful. I thought it was good. And I thought they're repaying the cliche and the I knew it, Maxine's not going to die, main character syndrome. They were repaying that by having her actually die at the end. And that scene was just so powerful for me. I was like, this is, you have sort of a debt to pay to your audience when an ex machina happens, right? You owe your audience something. You're indebted to them. Too many ex machina moments makes things cheap, right? So I was thinking, oh, okay, they're gonna pay it back with her dying at the end, as she was supposed to, right? That's what I thought. They were trying to fill in a plot hole at the end, and they were like, oh yeah, she technically did die, which is why Vecna was, released into, the Upside Down and the real world are combined now, because technically she did die, but she's not technically dead. That's a little cheap, So now we have the only price they really paid was 22 off-screen characters' lives and Eddie Munson. That's all we lost in this huge battle. And I don't know if that's fair to the audience. I feel like that's a debt you kind of owe to the audience. You definitely owe a debt to the audience when you have Steve Harrington, Nancy, and I always forget the lesbian girl's name. Lola? Nina? No, it's not Nina. And it's not Lola. Nancy, Lola, no. I don't know what I have against her. Lola? Her name's not Lola. Whatever. Steve's best friend, who's a lesbian, right? And very much ex machina moment when they were choking and not one of them died. Come on. And I just thought it was super, the cliche I never get tired of? The cliche of Eleven seemingly being defeated, being downtrodden, just being overcome, physically, mentally, emotionally. She's overcome, and then something sparks back in her will to fight. She does the scream. I never get over it. Like, it's cliche, it's coming, but that's one thing I never get over. Some cliches are good, and what I think this series does really well is cliches. Like, they'll take cliches that are gonna happen, but they'll do it expertly. It's like that saying goes, like, do what works. Do what works. They're cliches for a reason. People do them all the time because theoretically they're supposed to work, right? But if it's not fresh and if it's not interesting, nobody wants to see the cliches, right? You knew they were going to get out of the gulag. Hopper and what's his name, Murray and whatever. You knew they were going to get out of the gulag. I knew that. That was obvious. And you knew that the only way that would be possible is ex machina moments, right? They're in a heavily guarded Soviet whatever the hell, right? So ex machina moments are expected, but it's still good because it's fresh. The plot is fresh. Everything is just fresh. What else do I want to talk about? Let's talk about Eddie Munson, man. Let's talk about him. Now, by simple deductive reasoning, you can kind of tell Eddie is gonna die because it's like, look, we have this whole cast of main fan favorite characters. It's not like they can possibly kill one of the main characters. I remember I saw a leak on Twitter, a quote leak, a quote spoiler that Steve was gonna die. And I was intrigued. Once I saw that spoiler, that's what made me hurry up and start watching it. Because honestly, I wasn't in that big of a rush to watch season 4 of Stranger Things because I kind of forgot what happened in season 3 and season 2. Right? I kind of forgot those things. So I was like, I'll watch it when I watch. I'll get to it. Then I saw Steve Harrington dies. And I was like, girl, I gotta see that. And so when all the little bat-like things were coming to attack him, I was like, this is where Steve goes out. And I just thought it was like, I won't say thematically. I don't know what the word is. It is thematic. It is. I think it flipped what you would expect on its head by killing Eddie, right? Especially with the spoiler that I saw. I thought that was ingenious. You would expect Steve to sacrifice himself, right? That's why he turns around, hey, don't be a hero, right? Don't do nothing crazy. When it comes down to it, evacuate. And Eddie becomes the hero. This is going to be unpopular. He kind of died for a stupid reason. What? Okay, it's not, okay, we're omniscient as the audience. We can see that, and I'm going to get to this. We can see that in Russia, in that town, in this town, all factions of our favorite main characters are working together, and it's all having effect on the same bad guy on the same threat, right? And it's beautiful. It's ingenious. I love it. It's so good. So it's not like Eddie would have known, right, that Eleven's doing her own thing to try and stop this guy. He wouldn't have known that Joyce and Hopper are doing their own thing to stop this, right? He wouldn't have known that. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna buy time by distracting the bats. It's kind of, I don't know if I like that too much. I would have preferred Eddie defending someone, right? Like if the kid, what's his name, Duncan? You know, if he like was in some sort of trouble and if he was in like imminent danger and Eddie comes in and sacrifices himself, it would have felt more impactful in my opinion than I'm buying time. That was kind of but I will say when Eddie was dying and Duncan, is his name Duncan? I'm so bad with the names. The guy with the teeth and the braces and the hair. I think his name is Duncan. When Eddie was dying in Duncan's hands, in his arms, that got me emotional. Okay? I didn't cry, but that got me emotional. I cried when Duncan was telling Eddie's dad. That was a punch in the gut. That was a freaking punch in the gut. I was like, girl, oh my God. And you know, even the words at that part were kind of cliche, right? I was guessing everything he was going to say, but it didn't pull me out of it. Like, the cliches aren't bad. This is just a lesson. Don't try to subvert expectations because this is effective. Going for the cliche is effective. Going for what somebody could have guessed, it's effective. And you know, there's a certain huzzah that an audience member feels when they can guess guess right what was going to happen. There's a huzzah you feel, and that's like sort of your audience payoff. And hey, I mean, I can't be a hypocrite. Subverting expectations also triggers a different kind of good feeling in an audience, right? Oh shit, you surprised me. This is better than I could have imagined. Right? And I wanted to feel that with Eddie dying instead of Steve, but I mean, it was fine. It was good. I liked it, right? It was flipping the hero theme on its head. Steve is the attractive, well-liked, physically like, ooh, like, you know, like Bill, oh, snatched, like girls, in theory, girls would want him, you know? That's Steve. So, on paper, he should have been the hero. He should have been the one sacrificing himself. And he tried, like, he was down, but no, it's Eddie who does the heroic thing at the end. Well, they all did heroic shit, right? But it's Eddie who sacrifices himself. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little pulled out that our only two casualties are the asshole jock guy, right? And Eddie. I think Max should have died. Not only would it have repaid the debt of her get out of jail free card, but her character concluded really well, in my opinion. And I'm a sucker for those character conclusions, those relationship conclusions, where one character makes a promise to another that they can't keep. Ooh, I'm a sucker for that. I'm such a sucker for that. Like, they make a promise, oh, we will, you know, like, in Attack on Titan. Mikasa's like, tell me, we'll have those days again, where it's just me, you, and Armin, and we're just fooling around. And Aaron's like, we will. And it's like, absolutely not. There's no way they can go back to those days. And it's a promise that's broken. Oh my God, there's so many more. I'm so annoyed that all I can think about is stupid Attack on Titan right now. But there's so many good ones. You know, it's always we'll have a date here. Oh, you're not dying here. We're going to do this next week. Oh, this is not how this is going to end. Because, you know, when this is all over, we're going to do this. You know, there's so many scenes in movies and TV and just everything where, like, the relationship you're most interested in, a promise is made that can't be kept because one side of it dies. This happens in Orange is the New Black with Brooke, I believe her name was, and Poussey. They said they were going to open a restaurant together, move out of jail together. It was going to be a cute little relationship, and one side dies. And I mean, it hurts, right? I guess I'm a little masochist, but it's good. It's effective. That's the easiest way to get an emotional reaction out of your crowd, out of your audience. Have two people who care about each other. Make a promise. Because in that moment, the audience is like, oh, there's no way they're going to be able to keep that. Or, oh, that's so cute, but I already know something's going to happen to prevent that from happening, right? I called it. When Maxine was like, oh my God, I'm glad you're here, to Lucas, I was like, oh yeah. You know, we just knew too much about Maxine. And her character, her internal conflict was solved by the end of the series. So it just felt right that she would die. And so I felt good as an audience member. Like, I love Maxine. Maxine's my favorite character. But as an audience member, I felt, I don't know what the word is, but I felt like almost relief that that debt was being paid. When she lifted in the air, I felt good. Maxine's my favorite character. Max, I love Max. But when she lifted in the air, I was like, this is the conclusion of her character. This makes sense. This is good. Because not only was that debt repaid, but her character was concluded beautifully. And then throw in the promise they can't keep. She's like, yeah, let's go on a date with Lucas. And the thing that made that so much more better is she never technically accepted the date. So it'd been like, damn, like she drew a picture of them holding hands, but she never accepted the date. So I was like, damn, this is good. Steve coming on to Nancy. I didn't expect him to be so bold to do that. I ship Steve and Nancy. I ship them so hard. I ship that, right? I think they're a cute couple. I like them together. I like their dynamics together. Was not expecting him to actually do that. So I was like, yes. I was like, go King, go. Will's older brother, and this might just be me being superficial, he's not attractive. I don't like him. But what I will say is, Will is gay. Will has a crush on Mike. And his scene in the car, well, that made it obvious. I was like, oh, he loves Mike. He wants Mike. He loves him more than a best friend. He wants to be his boyfriend. And I love when the characters are mature enough and, okay, side note, hold on. I love how this series can make interesting dynamics between the characters without arguments, without petty shit, right? Like, oh, we want an argument, we want some petty drama. There is no drama, like, ever. It's all just, like, under the surface, and you have to pick up on it. Oh, Nancy's liking Steve now. You know, she never says, oh, I like Steve now. But you, as an audience member, you piece that together. Oh, she defended him against her boyfriend? Oh, okay. The looks, the lingering looks. It's something that you work to piece together, and you feel the satisfaction in it when it becomes canon or whatever, right? Hopper and Joyce, very earned relationship. Oh my God. Very earned. Very earned. Okay, that's another thing. The cliches in this story, oh, of course they save the world again. You know, for the most part. It's cliche, you know it's gonna happen, but it's earned. And I think that is what makes the difference. There is no, ooh, I found a little hole in Ace. You know, there is no, ooh, the magic button or whatever, right? They go through so fucking much, and they earn the victory at the end. That's another thing I really appreciate about this series. Now, this one, since it was so brutal, since it was so holy shit intense, definitely somebody should have lost their life in Russia, in the Soviet Union. Somebody should have lost their life. Maybe not Hopper, because you just revived him. It'd be stupid to kill him again. Maybe not Hopper. Maybe Joyce. That's sad as fuck. But that would have gave me something. That would have told me, oh yeah, the stakes were that high. That would have validated how high the stakes were. Because what they did to Hopper, that was crazy. That was insane. Somebody should have lost their life in the Soviet. And Max should have definitely lost her life. Damn, I thought that white guy, I thought the jock guy, I thought he was gonna kill Lucas. Ooh, when he was like whooping his ass. Ooh, I thought he was gone. I was like, damn, not only is Max gonna die, but Lucas is gonna die too. I knew realistically both of them wouldn't die, but I was like, damn, this asshole stepped on the music. He stepped on the little CD player. So I was like, that's it for Max. And I thought that was well done. I was like, now there's literally nothing but an ex machina that can save her. When the jock guy was like, wake her up right now. I was like, as far as like my audience satisfaction, he better not wake her up. I was like, this is the end for her. She's a normal, regular human backed into a corner in her mind, just like Chrissy, just like whoever else was caught up in the Vecna mind flayer stuff. I was like, if she somehow survives this twice, nah, man. Nah. Because nobody else even came slightly close to surviving. I was like, nah, man. They better not pull some ex machinas out for Max again. I was like, nah, do not. And so I was sure she was gonna die. I was sure. And I was okay with it because it would have been a good character conclusion. Favorite character in the whole series. Did I talk about gay Will? Yeah, Will's gay. His scene with his brother. Oh my god, I loved it. It was so... It touched me. Will is such a good actor. Will is such a good actor. Oh my god. And like, this is another thing where like you as the audience have to put the pieces together. His brother knows he's gay. In the car when he was crying, telling Mike, 11 cares about you and she's afraid of losing you too. You know, he was speaking from the heart. He was speaking from his own experience because that's how he feels about Mike, right? And that's why he starts crying, because he feels the same about Mike. He likes Mike too. And his brother, if you pay attention, his brother looks in the rear view mirror. That's hard to say. Rear view mirror. His brother looks in the rear view mirror and he notices Will crying. And it's not brought up until that scene when they're stirring the salt. Because if you're not paying attention, you're like, why the hell is he saying this out of nowhere? And then you're like, oh, okay, maybe it's because he notices his brother looks a little left out with 11 and Mike laughing out there. By the way, that guy making the pizza, the stoner guy making the pizza while all this shit was going down, that was hysterical. That was hysterical. See, when it comes to comedy, sometimes less is just more. He didn't say shit. He was just making pizza and I was dying. Everybody else is doing this important, like, high-tech ass, like, super tense ass shit. And this guy is making a pizza. I was like, oh my god, I am laughing my ass off. So, let me just throw it out there. So glad that 11 didn't give Papa the closure of saying, I understand. I didn't know if she would or wouldn't. I'm glad she didn't. He's like, tell me you understand I did all this for you. She's like, goodbye, Papa. I was like, yes, girl. What else did I want to talk about? Did I talk about the Steve parallels with Eddie? Yeah. So in the beginning of this, in the season, right, when they first go to the underworld or whatever the fuck it's called, I've been talking for too long. Steve is fighting those bats, right? The traditional hero, the conventionally attractive, the guy who's gonna get the girl at the end, because he's gonna end up with Nancy if he doesn't die, right? He's fighting the bats. And then we get in this last episode that it's Eddie Munson fighting the bats. I thought that was beautiful, the way they flipped that on its head, right? Your expectations. This is my hero, Steve. This is my loser wimp guy, you know, who's you know, I fell in love with Eddie's character. I did. Steve is great too, but I fell in love with Eddie. I was thinking about making a video about him, just him. Maybe not. I don't know. I'd probably just be like, Eddie, like fangirling or whatever, but I thought he was super interesting. I loved him. I thought he was good. That Russian guy that Hopper becomes friends with, the blonde guy who, like, ultimately convinces the Yuri guy to fly the fucking plane. Is it just me or is that guy sexy as fuck? That guy is so hot. That guy is so attractive. Maybe it's the accent. Maybe it's the Russian. I don't know, but oh my god. I was like, he's so hot. He's so hot. And that Yuri, most annoying character, most annoying guy. If I knew somebody like that in real life, I would end up ripping my hair out. If I had one conversation with a guy like that. Rip my hair out. And I think I talked about everything. Oh, one last thing I want to talk about. Cliche. The black car rolls up at the end, and you already know it's going to be Hopper and Joyce, because there's one last reunion we didn't get to see. You know, we get our little reunion with Mike and Duncan and Lucas, and that's beautiful, and it's cute, and it's like, nice, I love that, cute. And there's just one last reunion you didn't see. So when the black car rolls up, and they're like, military, you already know. Okay. That's Joyce and Hopper. 100%. Because I'm like, why the 2-day time skip? Oh my god, there's something else I want to talk about, but I'll talk about this first. You're like, why the 2-day time skip? You know, and it's to leave you on the edge about Maxine, first and foremost. Leave you on the edge about what's happening with the world after you see everything crumbling and shit, right? And it's to give Hopper and Joyce enough time to make it back to the States. That's what it is. That is what it is. And so putting that shit together, when you see the black car outside of the house, you already know it's Hopper and Joyce. And I am so glad we go back to 11's POV when Hopper gets, into the house, instead of sullying the moment by showing us the rest of the cast's reaction to Hopper and then showing us 11's after. It was just so much more powerful. Because imagine we see Hopper and Joyce get out of the car from the rest of the cast POV. And they're like, it's Hopper and Joyce. And then you see Hopper go and surprise 11. That would be garbage. Hot dog water. I'm like, oh my God. But that scene was powerful. That almost brought tears to my eyes. Like, actually. Like, for real. I was like, oh my goodness. That was well done. I couldn't even devil's advocate, like, oh, predictable, whatever. Well fucking done. Brilliant. So fucking good. By far my favorite season of Stranger Things. And I am one of those people who are like, oh, after the first season, the mystery was gone. Yeah, but I still came my ass back and watched the other 3 seasons. So they did something right? Fourth season, so freaking good. Last 2 episodes, so freaking good. And the last thing I want to talk about is this fucking series. Not only can you tell that they have at least some young writers. When you can tell that the writers of a teen show, a show with a bunch of teens targeted for a teen or, early 20s audience, and it's written by 60-year-old white men. And they say like the most corniest cliche bullshit, and it's like, nobody fucking talks like that. This, I feel like it's written by much younger people who are like, just skilled in character relationships, character dialogue, and stuff like that. Just so fucking good. And whoever's directing the actors to do this and do that, they're doing a fantastic job too, because there are so many fucking nuances where it's predictable if you're paying attention to the looks, the glances. And I feel like that's the best part about being an audience member. Paying attention to the little things to come to a conclusion. I know this is going to happen because I saw him look at her like that, right? And then it happens and it's like, it's just audience reward. But for real, the last thing I want to talk about, my favorite fucking part of this whole show, season. After the main cast reunites, Duncan, Lucas, 11, Mike, when they reunite and Duncan plays with the audience. He played with the fucking audience in this scene. That was a brilliant, like, I've never seen it done before so skillfully. Like, it was just, like, my mind is blown. I have goosebumps right now, guys. Like, Duncan plays with the audience. 11 is like, well, like, how's Lucas? Or whatever the fuck she says. And Duncan pauses for, like, 20 seconds. That was for us, the audience. Because we want to know, too. What happened in the last 2 days? We want to know. We want to know what happened to Max. We want to know what happened to the world. And so when 11 asked Duncan, whatever the fuck she said to him, she's like, so, where? I don't even know what the fuck she said. I can't remember. But she was like, where's Lucas? And Duncan pauses for 20 seconds. I hope his name is Duncan. The guy with the teeth in the hair. And, the chubby guy with the genius girlfriend. Duncan pauses for about 20 seconds. And he says, what does he say? He says, oh, you didn't know? And then still, the show makes us wait until we get until it puts us in the hospital. And we see the drawing of Max and Lucas that she drew right before she went into the mind control, whatever the fuck. Speaking of which, that scene where Lucas was like, yeah, maybe you should have just fucking died. But it was the mind flayer. That shit was good too. I was like, damn. I immediately know. I was like, oh, that's not real. Lucas would never say that shit to her. But, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I questioned it a little bit for a second because he was looking at her funny when she was admitting it. When she was like, I wish he had died. He was looking at her funny for a minute. And so I couldn't even tell you where the line between actual events and mind flayer events start. Because Lucas deadass did look at her a little funny. He did. I was like, oh, he didn't like that. He didn't like that revelation. Max, you should have kept that one in the drafts. I was like, ooh. And yeah, if her not dying at the homecoming or whatever, the fucking little dance or whatever, her not dying there, it felt a little cheap. I felt like she definitely was supposed to die there. Anyways, I'm getting off track. ADHD moment. But Yeah, when the fucking series played with the audience using Duncan, when they gave us that suspense, I was like, this is a fucking goated episode. This is top tier phenomenal. I want to say this fucking season is a 9.5 out of 10. So fucking good. Makes up for all the lame cliches at the beginning. Oh, I'm in high school, I'm getting bullied. Oh, I'm getting bullied everywhere I go. That was annoying. But the way it answered all of my questions in my last video, like skillfully. Visuals so good. The graphics so good. Everything was just so good. And then that little moment where Duncan, where they skillfully kind of almost break the fourth wall by making us wait in suspense. Oh my god, I just thought that was so good. I appreciate the little things. It's the little things that get me. And that's something that I was just like, oh, goat. I was like, oh my god. He broke the fucking fourth wall a little bit. He did. Because there's no reason he should have answered 11 that slow. If not to make us, the audience, wait in suspense. But anyways, that's all for me. Let me know what you thought about Stranger Things. Let me know what your favorite season is. Rank the seasons. Let me see your rank. If I had to rank, I would say season 4, then season 1. No, okay. Season 1, then season 4. Then I don't remember the other 2. I don't remember what the fuck happened. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't care. I just know that this season was fucking goated, and it was so fucking good. And I am so glad that I watched it now. Rather than later. Holy shit. Anyways, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Definitely more videos like this to come. And, yeah. Actually, make sure you smash that fucking like button, because I'm about to sneeze. So if you enjoyed that sneeze, I was so vulnerable with you. That's why I sneezed. I'm so vulnerable. If you enjoyed that sneeze, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Bye!